What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Two Worlds podcast. I'm Jake, and with me, as always, is the swift wind to my Shira. It's Casey. What's up, dude?
Not much, man. Can I ask, is Swiftwind like a bird?
It's a flying horse.
Oh, okay, cool.
But you always lift me up.
Yeah, man.
So I thought it was fitting.
Yeah, hey, I'm not complaining. Okay, so this made me think of, because I was gonna make a hung like a horse joke, and then that made me think of I think you should leave bit where they're like, it's this horse farm where they genetically make the horses wieners tiny. So it's like these guys will take their ladies there and they're like, they always say hung like a horse, but that's so small. Like yours is bigger than that. I hit the guy's just like,
That's really funny.
so silly. But yeah, man, you doing good?
Yeah, all right, I guess.
Yeah, good, man. I had a long day today.
But is the planting done?
It's getting there. I have like 20 acres left to work, and then Dad's got about 100 acres to go. So should get. I don't want to say this because then like the tractors will catch on fire, but should get done tomorrow.
My fingers are crossed.
Yeah, man.
Well, it is what can only be described as an abysmal news week, at least for me. So I'll let you go first. I'll go somewhere in the middle, and then you can finish it up.
Okay, I'll just start off with the thing that you're probably the most excited to talk about. The new Love and Thunder trailer. What do you think?
Dude, it was so good. No, it wasn't. I just felt like maybe giving the people false hope for a split second. So like, oh, he's gonna hate it.
In all fairness, though, your tone of voice still kind of gave away that you didn't think it was good.
Hey, that's what you get with me all the time. So
fair enough.
I am nothing if not consistently monotone. But anyway, gore looks cool. But again, don't think they need to be doing that story. And also they pretty much said that it is that universe's Jane, which is just the dumbest shit, in my opinion, instead of using an alternate Jane. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, she got taken away in the blip, but then she comes back and just gets to be Thor. And whatever reason they come up with is not going to be good enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% think it should be an alternate reality Jane. And they could have had a really cool moment too, like where in that Jane's universe where Thor had died, but he gave her the hammer before he died, and that type of thing. And so like it would be like when like in the comics when Spider-Man saw Gwen, Spider-Gwen had the like, oh, this is and like, but it'd be kind of the opposite. I think that would have been a lot cooler than this, but
I also that's also a good idea, and they don't do these. So
I also just don't think Natalie Thorman should have been a thing.
Natalie Thorman. Did you come up with that?
I mean, I'm gonna say no, but at the same time, I want everyone to start saying it because I think it's funny.
It is funny. But yeah, I want to be a little bit positive. I think Christian Bale is going to be a good Gore. However, I think there's one thing that bugged me a lot. There's a scene for a split second in that trailer where we see Valkyrie fighting Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Gore should obliterate her. There's no like holding him off. He should kill her, and that's probably not going to happen.
I don't think he's going to kill her, but I bet he's going to wreck her, because like they don't have the Warriors 3 to kill again. They don't have like all these like Heimdall to kill again. Like they got they gotta go with like, oh yeah, we know Valkyrie's tough, So this is going to make Gore look tough by beating the crap out of her, type of thing.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean,
I'll say
pro
this.
wrestling 101.
If I mean, expectations are in the negative, but if Jane Thor or Valkyrie ends up being the one that beats Gore, I'll need to be escorted from the theater and I won't be allowed to go back.
It'll be like that time we saw the Expendables and that one guy got really mad for some reason.
Yeah, it will be like that. Except it will be for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would do that, but I don't know, man. I don't know about this one.
I'm betting, this is what I'm going to call right now. So if it happens, it's like, cool, Casey's smart. If it doesn't happen, then like, who cares? But I'm betting Jane ends up giving Thor back Mjolnir, and he'll have that and Thunder, and not Thunderstrike, whatever. And they, use both of them to beat Gore. That's probably what's going to happen. Or Jane dies fighting him.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Natalie, Thorntman wanting to come back for more.
You keep changing it. Now it's Thorntman.
Because I think that one works better with her name,
Thorntman is the name of like an 80s nerd. Thorntman has a pocket protector. Anyway, yeah. We'll see. If you're correct, I'll shake your hand.
Thanks, man. Just so you know, my hands are clammy.
Okay.
All right, so
anyway.
I got some Blue Beetle news, sort of. So first we got some set photos that show like a comic accurate costume. I'm not super hot on it though, because one of the things I like about the comic costume is he's got the mouth. And then this is more like the Black Panther costume, where it's just whoop. Did you happen to see the pictures or not?
I did. I actually dug it.
I mean, like, I like it, but I want the moving mouth. I was 100% expecting it just to be like, the Tom Holland Spider-Man suits, where it was just like the awkward green, like the all CG stuff. That's what I was expecting, and we didn't get that.
I kind of like that they actually just like made a suit for him to walk around on set on. I think that's cool.
Yeah, but again, he needs to have the mouth. But and then I saw this, and it's like this is what a lot of people were reporting, but it's also like it might not be true. But reportedly, Jason Sudeikis is going to play Ted Kord in the Blue Beetle movie, which, if that was true, I think that's kind of spot on casting. I really like that casting.
Yeah, I do too.
I never it's one of those ones where like I was like, I never would have put that one together, but that's really good. That was smart on your guys' part.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked for a long time about Zachary Levi being him before he got beefed up and was cast as Shazam, but Sudeikis will be good, I think.
Yeah. Okay, and then this is stupid, but Winnie the Pooh has entered the public domain. It entered back in January 2022. So now that it's in the public domain, people can make whatever they want, and we are going to get a Winnie the Pooh horror movie called Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Saw some of the early pictures. It looks pretty terrible. It's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, that is not something that I can watch because too much of my childhood was spent reading those books and watching the cartoons. So
yeah,
that just sounds like some edgy teen in high school is like, I'm gonna make this a horror movie, and it's probably gonna be written about that well.
Dude, speaking of edgy kids in high school, one time I was at the Walmart and they had like a new Winnie the Pooh book, and it was called like The Return to 100 Acre Woods, and my mind first went to like Christopher Robin having to return and defend 100 Acre Woods from like the owl or something, It's like Winnie the Pooh's, like got like like the bandolier on, he's like, oh bother, Tigger's dead, of course.
I've come to eat honey and kick ass, and I'm all out of honey. Oh, bother. Anyway, here we are like, oh, that's such a dumb idea. And then we're like, what if Pooh
Yeah.
wore a bandolier?
It's like you had me at Pooh Bandolier.
All right, I will deliver my one bit of news. Star Wars Celebration happened this week, and we got various tidbits. Some we got like a teaser for the Andor show. I don't know if that means anything to you. Did you watch Rogue One?
Nope.
Okay. Andor is the last name of a character from Rogue One.
The blind dude?
No.
The main
No.
lady? I'm gonna keep guessing people because I know enough to be like,
no, it's like the love interest of the main lady.
oh, okay. Then I wouldn't have
Okay.
known that. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Right. So that should be pretty neat. And then oh, we're getting a new Willow series.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that is just 1000% nostalgia fueled.
Oh yeah.
But it could be good. And then one of the bigger things is that we're getting another Disney Plus show called Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and the big name attached to that is Jude Law. Yeah, they said that is going to be it's going to be set in the New Republic era, like Ahsoka and the Mandalorian, and it's going to center around a group of like kids that are lost in the Star Wars galaxy and trying to make their way back home. So they say it's going to, like, the cast is kids, but it's not like a kids show, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like Mandalorian or whatever, just an all ages Star Wars show. So
it'd be funny if Jude Law's cast as one of the kids. Like they just get kids for all of them, but then like Jude Law's like, no, I'm the same age as you guys.
Dude, that would be so funny. Oh gosh. But Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will executive produce that show too. So chances are it's still going to be great. But
I've heard some mixed things about the Obi-Wan show.
So I watched both episodes, and I'll keep the spoiler free because it is brand new. I like it a lot. There's a couple things that bug me, but the biggest one, and this doesn't give too much away. There's a scene where we get like Leia as a 10-year-old, and someone's trying to capture her. So she's like out walking in the forest by her house, and like a group of 3 people are trying to capture her. And what we get is the dumbest, most ridiculous looking chase scene between 3 adults and a 10-year-old girl, where the guys are kind of doing this behind her and she's outrunning them. And I mean, she'll slide under a tree branch and one just like runs into the tree branch. Like, it's so dumb, dude.
Does Leia look at the camera and go,
no, but that would make the chase scene a lot better.
And like she like tosses some marbles on the ground, and she gets some space paint cans and toss them at the guy. And
she might as well have. And like Leia's written very well, and I think the kid that they casted like plays her well. She has some really good lines. It's tough to do a scene between adults and a small child. But anyway, other than that, I think it's cool. Ewan McGregor, awesome as always. I like where it's going so far.
Right on, man. I'm glad you're liking, because I mean, I know it's Twitter, so I know everyone just wants to crap on things, because why be happy on Twitter? So, but yeah, they were all complaining about it on there. But my last bit of news, The Rock, to give me a birthday gift, he texted me. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get you a birthday gift. I'm gonna release the trailer, for Black Adam June 8th." I'm like, "That's 4 days after my birthday, bro." And he's like, wrong number, sorry. And then he just texts someone. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're gonna get the Black Adam trailer on June 8th. So I mean, I guess that could be interesting. I'm still not
I'm
sold
ready
on
for
it
it.
being I mean, I'm ready for the trailer, but I'm just not sold on the movie.
I am. Give me all of it.
Yeah.
I want live action DC so bad.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I really think because like the way it sounds like this like after the merger Discovery's kind of like halted a lot of stuff. They're kind of like just exploring how things are gonna go. I wouldn't be surprised like after I think Blue Beetle is like the latest one, like the last one that's actually being made. I wouldn't be surprised if they cancel all of it and they start doing something completely new to restart stuff because the way that they were doing stuff before when right before the merger, it sounded like Hamada and the other people that knew that they were going to be fired were like, oh, we're going to release a bunch of stuff and just try to like just throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. And I think
I thought one of the new people like loved Cavill and wants to do more with him or whatever.
that's some of the rumors. There's a lot of rumors that Snyderverse is coming back. There's others, but I wouldn't be like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if they just say we're scrapping this all because the people that were in charge didn't know what the heck they were doing. And when we get some, because they want to get like I think you talked about this, they want to get someone in charge of the DC stuff in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just got that person restarted it all.
Wow. I would be a bit disappointed because there's some stuff that I don't want recasted.
Yeah, and I agree. And I mean, I wouldn't be so like don't get me wrong. I want someone other than Snyder to do a Henry Cavill Superman movie. But if Snyderverse stuff is still going to be a thing, which again I think that's kind of a toss up at this point. But if it stays a thing, I wouldn't I wouldn't be as upset about losing Cavill in like their main universe if we still got him in this universe. If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Sure. As long as he's still around.
Yeah. But that is the news, everybody.
Yeah. It might be a record.
No, we've had worse ones.
Yeah, but we usually like go down a rabbit hole or two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, let's take our ad break, and then when we come back, we'll talk some comics. I don't have a fun story this week.
Yeah, I really don't either. I don't know, man. I think people are gonna be pretty disappointed with us.
I mean, I feel like they are already,
Yeah. Well, hey, you here's a question for you. We'll talk about some D&D. How much time does it take? Because I told you I listened to the podcast where you're DMing
the testing room.
Testing room. I wanted to say waiting room. Like that's not right. But yeah, I listened to the testing room podcast where you DM'd and stuff. How much time like prep wise do you go in when you're DMing?
So I try to think of like realistically, we're probably going to play 2 or 3 hours. I try not to do too much because chances are, and this isn't even in a bad way, chances are something will get slightly derailed, whether that's just like combat taking longer than you expected or, they choose a different path than what you prepared for.
Yeah, like the time that me, Levi, and Mike played.
Oh, but the whole thing was derailed at that point.
Yeah.
So typically I'll take like a couple hours and think of because the main thing, like say if one session is going to be mostly combat, you don't really have to prep too much for that. You just have to get stat blocks for enemies ready. Maybe work up some treasure and other loot that's going to be there. But if they're going to be going through a town and talking to lots of people, then you need to think about what those people are going to be like. and have answers ready for questions that they might ask. And that's what takes the most time. And we did episode 3 on Saturday. So I think that's coming out in 2 weeks. But that was like there was some combat, but then like a lot of like getting to the town and getting a lot of like side quests started up and stuff like that. And obviously the guys are fun and funny guys, so they make it entertaining for sure. But yeah, I would say the short answer is there going to be a lot of combat or not? And if there is not, then you're going to take a lot more time to prep stuff.
Yeah, I think I just had the idea of like, you know, who Daniel Day-Lewis is, right? How like the guy that was Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
If he ever became a DM, like every time he had like a new character in town, he'd have to be them for like at least a day to get it so like everything would be right. So now I just picture you like going around the house pretending you're like a goblin that, you know, owns a shop, and like Brielle's like, "What do you want for dinner?" And you're like, and then she's like, "I don't speak goblin. I just need to know what you want to eat."
And you know, that's how you lose a fiance.
Yeah. Well, she plays D&D too, so she gets it. She's just like, I don't know what goblin speak is. I don't know, like I'm a level 30 rogue. I don't know.
Do you did listening give you the hankering to play again?
Oh yeah, no, it did 100%. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel bad like after the last time I played with Jake, because it's like I want to be serious when I do this. I want to, and then like at the same time, I am just a train wreck of a person when it comes to playing these games, and it's gonna get derailed and it's gonna be terrible. Like you're just gonna be sitting there like crumpling up your notes like
No, it's just if we play again, I'm not going to do any prep at all. Just save everybody some time. I mean, I think the other two want to play again, so maybe that's something that we need to revisit soon, or maybe just do like a special one-off for this podcast.
Dude, I'd be all about it. Yeah. I'm gonna be a bard next time I do it though.
Gonna be charismatic like your own self.
I'm gonna be charismatic and just be boning everything I can. I'm gonna try to find something that can talk to everything.
So here's a funny story about somebody like that. My regular group, one of my best friends, Nick, he plays a character named Bard, who's a warlock, but was raised by 2 bards. And those 2 bards had a son and named him Bard, but he rebelled against his parents and became a warlock. He still tries to like bone pretty much anything. So we get to this part in a story where there's a doppelganger, and that just means they're shapeshifters. And so they shapeshifted as like a lady to seduce him. And it didn't work. He finds out that it's a doppelganger, but he did something to where he was controlling the doppelganger and then made them shapeshift into something he wanted to bang and then banged that doppelganger.
That's hilarious. Did he make it shapeshift into himself?
No, thankfully not. But dude, if you look up, just do like 5e doppelganger, you'll see what they look like before they shapeshift, and you're just like, ugh. But hey, that's what makes D&D fun, right?
Exactly, man. There was I follow different D&D meme pages on like Facebook and Instagram. There was one where it's like it's the Anakin and Padme meme, you know, where it's like I just beat a werewolf, and she's like, "Oh yeah, did you use your weapons?" There's like, "You use your weapons, right?" And just
Dude, that meme format is S tier.
Yep,
I love it. All right, folks, welcome back. If you want to hear Casey and I talk a little bit about Dungeons and Dragons, then head on over to our YouTube channel. That is Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube. And let us know if you would like a one-shot special of Casey and I playing Dungeons and Dragons. We would get friends to join or whatever, but let us know.
Also, dude, not to put you on the spot, but I was thinking about this today. We going to C2E2 this year?
That's a great question.
Because like I forgot about it being a thing, and then I saw that the mailing deadline's coming up. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to ask the guys about this.
We'll figure out the dates and discuss that outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works out. All right. So Casey, what books did you read this week?
So I read Aquaman #4, Stillwater 13, The Amazing Spider-Man #2, Adventureman #9, Teen Titans Academy #15, Newburn #7, a Marvel event, Devil's Reign Omega, Deathstroke Inc., Robin, Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 3, Taskforce Z #8, Action Comics 1043, Saga 59, and Hulk #7. What about you?
I read Triskele #1, Moon Knight 11, DC versus Vampires Hunters one shot, Taskforce Z8, Godzilla Power Rangers 3, Devil's Reign Omega, Saga 59, Robin 14, Deathstroke Inc. 9, Hulk 7, and Action 1043.
Okay, I think I got a few more, so I'll just start it up.
Which is wild because I was like, dear God, there's still 2 books I didn't even get to.
Dude, I read Punisher #2. I got that on Comixology today, and I read that. I didn't get to #3. Not feeling it. Not feeling after
Really?
issue 2. Yeah, I'll talk about that whenever after I talk about read #3. Maybe like #3 will happen. I'll be like, oh, this is actually good again. But yeah, oof, wasn't a fan. But Aquaman #4, and this is by Chuck Brown and Brandon Thomas with Sam Basri on the pencils. And I dug this issue, if I'm being honest. You have Black Manta fighting. Remember that dude in the Aquaman book that that had us kind of excited for the Aquamen? That he was fighting Jackson and all of them, and he had the big stupid suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this dude, he shows back up. He kind of gets power amped, and he's fighting Black Manta, while Aquaman and Jackson Aquaman are teaming up, like trying to make sure no one dies. Batwoman's there too, but it's also kind of like, really, Batwoman, what you gonna be doing? But yeah, so that they're kind of taking care of people, and then Jackson ends up saving his dad, and they kind of have like a good father-son moment, and then there's just kind of like lots of planning going on in this one. But it's one of the better issues of this. Like it was a slow burn to kind of get started, but at least it's like now becoming good, and it helps that like I just want to like these characters. Like if I was like on the fence about the characters, I would have been done with it way sooner. But it's like I like Aquaman. I think Black Manta's cool. I think Jackson is seemingly cool. So it's like I want this book to be great. So it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Well, if there weren't 40 books out this week, I might have picked it up. But
yeah. And I'm gonna say this too, which like I know this kind of sucks as for you, the comic book shop owner, but maybe wait for trade. It might be better that way.
Could be.
Because the first 2 issues were kind of like, then the 3rd issue kind of happened. I'm like, this is getting better, and this one's the best issue yet. So
yeah. Do you want me to go, or did you want to do another one?
Yeah, I'll do another one.
Okay.
So Stillwater #13 by Chip Zdarsky and Ramon K. Perez. The first thing that came to mind with this is like Ramon's art is very off compared to how normally great it is. It's this one I don't know. Stuff just looked crazy. like not near as good as it normally does. But after what happened in the last issue, where they found out that they could make the city limits bigger and then increase the amount of people that can't die, that has some ramifications, it looks like, for the next issue. And yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a little bit intense and stuff, and it's a good time. I'm enjoying this series, I'll say that. I'm gonna give this probably a 7.5. Like it felt like there's a really long wait for this issue in comparison to how it normally comes out, and like that just kind of always drags it, which I'll be talking about when I talk about Adventureman. So yeah.
All right. First up for me is Triskele #1. It's written by Felipe Pan and art by Monoramus. Yeah, I just picked this up because it looked neat from the cover and on the order form. So I'll show you the cover.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's kind of a Celtic mythology, high fantasy, coming of age kind of comic.
High fantasy.
I know, right? So yeah, it centers around a group of, I don't want to say kids, maybe like teenagers. There's 2 boys and 2 girls, and it looks like they're gonna get wrapped up in some like Celtic magic-y type stuff because one of the boys gets powers. And there's swords and stuff like that. So just stuff that I like in general.
Yeah. Here's a question that might be like you picking between your kids, but out of all of the different types of fantasies, like the Celtic fantasy, the Norse fantasy, all of that stuff, what would be your favorite to least favorite?
Oh, man, I'll say probably Norse mythology is the top, and then it's tough because like Lord of the Rings is a mix of like Norse and Celtic mythology, but The Witcher, which is Polish like mythology and European stuff in that area, is also really good, but that's mostly just by the one author. So I'll probably say Norse, then Celtic, and then like Polish. Those are like my top 3.
I got you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, if any of that sounded good, then I would check it out because it's a #1 issue, and I'm sure it's just going to be a limited series. But the art's great. It's like a beautiful watercolor type of art, like kind of like Dustin Gwyn. So if you're into that kind of art style, then you'll like it. So I'm going to give it an 8. It was a really solid first issue, and it made me excited and want more.
Right on. All right, so next up is The Amazing Spider-Man #2 by Zeb Wells and Johnny Romiti Jr. I know that's not how you say his name, but I said it that way for fun. And I'm going to say this. I am not a fan of Johnny Romiti Jr.'s art, but I think he steps up his game when he does Spider-Man, because even though I'm still not a fan of this, if you compare this side by side to his Superman, there is no comparison. His Superman looks just like some of the worst art I've ever seen, and this is like passable. So I mean, like, there's still times where like people's head, like it's like big head mode. Like if you remember that from video games from our
NHL
youth.
hits 2003, of course.
So like there's that every once in a while, but I'm enjoying this. There's gonna be war going on. Tombstone's a really cool character for that. Yeah, no, I'm very much a fan. Yeah, I mean, it's still like, I think when the 6th issue comes out and they're releasing it for like $50, I probably won't get that one because Marvel, you can just eat a big one. But like this is perfectly fine. It's fun. I think Tombstone's cool. I still don't really know what's going on as far as like these little things, 'cause like this is kind of a jump from the jumped from a couple months or years or whatever from the last series, which I still think that's always lazy writing when they're just going like, "Huh, you better stick around, we'll tell you what happened in all this time between." It's like, or here's a crazy idea, pick up right where the last series left off. Just because you weren't the writer, you should still have to pick up, because I'm the reader and I'm picking up right where that one left off also. Like, be better at your job, guys, because that's just like the normal thing for these writers to do now. They're just be like, no, I'm telling my own story, maybe I'll work it in, who knows.
Yeah. Well, while we're complaining about this book, I complained about this to Casey like last week, but issue number 6 of this series that's coming up is going to be the 900th issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And so it's going to be a $10 book, and those bastards at Marvel are putting out 14 covers for it. So I cannot wait for that week to come out and some a-hole is like, oh, you didn't get this cover. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
You're going to be having to do a Vine where you're like, I got that Spider-Man money, Spider-Man money, Spider-Man money. But no, I'm probably at a 7.5 for this, because it's like, it's still like a solid Spider-Man book. Like, if you were to pick it up and read it, I think you'd still be pretty fine with it. I mean, you'd probably be feeling about the same as me with the art, where you're like, this is like good, like as good as John Romita Jr. has been in a while. Which it's still not great, but it's still pretty good for, it's good for him. I'll say that.
The disappointing thing is that like there are, I'm gonna say, thousands of artists that are better than him that will never get work because his name is John Romita Jr. Because if somebody took his art and turned that into Marvel without having worked at Marvel before, they'd be turned away.
Well, I'm gonna compare him to Liefeld. Like, he's better than Liefeld, but he has a fan base, and he's also like, Liefeld sounds like he's hard to work with at times. And so it's like, where Romita Jr., everyone that talks about him is like, oh no, I love Romita Jr. Like, you know what I mean? Where like with Liefeld, it seems like he's more, yeah, some people really like him, as just to be around him. There's other people that are like, I can't stand the guy. So
Right.
so it's like, when you're like, you have a fan base and people actually like you, it's easy to get work.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Next for me is going to be Moon Knight 11. It's written by Jed McKay, and the art is done by Alessandro Capuccio. I like this issue a lot. It's Moon Knight and Greer and Moon Knight's other friend rescuing his Moon Knight's therapist from Jigsaw and Zodiac. So that's pretty fun. Zodiac has like a team that he's working with now, and wants to kill Moon Knight's vampire friend. And he's like, if your vampire friend doesn't come out of your like haunted building and let me kill her, I'm just gonna start dragging random people out of your neighborhood homes and killing them in the street. And Moon Knight is too far away to get there in time because he fell for the whole gotta save my therapist in a place that's far away from there. So he sits down and prays to Khonshu, who hasn't been around since that stupid Moon Knight beats the Avengers thing that happened a while back, if you remember that.
Yeah.
So he's like, Khonshu, I need you. And Khonshu's like, well, I'm in prison in Asgard. And he's like, okay, but you're a god. That doesn't really constrain you. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens there. but Moon Knight and Greer kind of walk into a portal that Khonshu made to get them to this other place faster. It's like a portal shortcut, but they still have to go through something. I don't really know. But the art looks cool. And meanwhile, Moon Knight's friend, I think his name's like Soldier or something like that, who's with a vampire friend, decides that he's going to put on the Mr. Knight costume and pretend like he got there super fast to freak out Zodiac. And that's the last page. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. It'll be cool to see Tigra and Moon Knight go through a portal and do whatever needs to be done there. And then it's always fun to see Mr. Knight beat people up, even if it's not actually Mark Spector. So
Do you think that Mr. Knight, soldier dude, is gonna get killed? Do you think they're gonna like Matt Murdock? Not Matt, Mike Murdock him.
I think there's a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like he's definitely a supporting cast right now, but I don't know. Someone's got to die, right? It's Moon Knight. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But again, the art is just always killer.
That is awesome.
So I'm gonna give it like a 9.5. I mean, it really is just it's this good every issue.
Yeah. All right, next up is Adventureman number 9, and this is by Matt Fraction with Terry and Rachel Dotson doing the art, and it's a fun time, but it's like, boy, this is a Christmas time book, and it's almost June because this book takes forever to come out, and it's the point where I'm like, what happened in the last issue?
I thought it was on hiatus or done.
Yeah, I mean that's what you always think, and then it comes out again. It's like, and I kind of put the blame on Fraction more than I do the Dotsons, because that seems like how a lot of Fraction's books are. So yeah, it's like, and it's still good, but it's like there's a lot of me like trying to remember different things, like the different characters, different stuff, but it's like it's an enjoyable, cool world. But yeah, it's just hard to remember this different stuff. And the art's fantastic though. The Dotsons absolutely kill it. Like as far as like a team, like a 1-2 punch in comics, it's hard to get better than Terry's art with Rachel's inks. Like it's awesome. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just there's too much going on in the story for having this long of a time between each issue to know what the heck is going on. So this is another one that's probably better in trades. Like I think I've said that before, because this one does take forever to come out between each issue. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I'm probably about done with it. Not because I don't like it, but because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Oh.
I think I've just got our mutuals. So
Okay, man. I'll get through Teen Titans Academy and Newburn pretty quickly. But Teen Titans Academy by Tim Sheridan with Tom Derenick on the art. Art in this is good. We get some Shazam, and you remember the demon girl that was in Shazam?
I do, yeah.
Yes, they're both in it, and it's a good time. And get the Black Adam kid too, and then get the guy that's a George Perez homage with the old Bat kid, and they're, because he's his uncle and he's talking to him and stuff. And it's a very nice thing, because it's like, this had to, like, I'm like about positive this was written when George still had cancer, but he was still with us. Because like George is talking to his, or not George, his name isn't George, but that's what he's George Press. He's talking to his nephew, and he's just like, I'm moving and I'm not going to be able to be here anymore. And if I didn't even know you were related to me until they did your blood work, and he's like, oh, I wish we could have said. He's like, yeah. And then he says this really nice thing. He's like, I'm trying to, like, because it's like, now something tells me you've already, because they find out Diego's got wings, and he's like, I know the sun's coming up, but I don't want to miss your chance to soar. I bet it's beautiful to come on. Time to spread your wings, kid. And they hug and then flies off. It's just like, they did a really good job writing this and also kind of like giving like this George Perez guy a goodbye. And then like he's drawing Diego too. And it's nice little moment and stuff, but it's still like we barely get like all these other characters throughout. And then like I remember, and maybe you do too, when the Red X stuff was happening, a bunch of the characters just got up and left.
Right.
And it's just, they're kind of like, oh, well, guess what? We're not going to really talk much about what happened because they're back. So it, I don't know. I'm not super hot on some of the stuff that they did in this series, but
And that's it, right? That's
I
the
think
last issue.
it felt like the last issue, so I'm assuming it must be, which it's like, it's a dang shame because it started off real good, but hopefully they can. I mean, I wouldn't be against them bringing us back, like restarting at a new number one like Marvel does, and trying to get it like flesh out the characters more.
So here's my question. Do you think a different writer is what this needs?
I mean, I think a lot of the problems are editorial, personally, because there's a lot that seemed like Tim Sheridan wanted to do, and then it was just kind of like a lot of it kind of came down to the chopping block type of stuff. So we don't get a lot of these answers of stuff that he was setting up. And then it also seemed like the Red X stuff was rushed big time. And
Rush, but took a year.
It took a year, but it was like, I don't know. They either do bigger issues or have it come out bi-weekly or have other things, because there wasn't enough Red X, and we weren't getting enough of the kids to actually care about who Red X was. So it's like, if you wanted to do the slow burn, which I'm all about slow burns with stuff, just don't like put Red X at the forefront like they were doing, like on every cover,
Yeah.
and then they just like kill him off. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that's the thing you could do, So yeah, and then like they'd have like the random like one-off story where it's like Gorilla Greg, and his uncle Gorilla Grodd are taking over a city, but then Greg, it's like, I gotcha, and he beats him up. So
I gotcha.
So it's just like I'm blaming a lot of it on DC editorial, because you've heard, we both have heard stories of DC editorial being kind of garbage. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go probably 7. Like, it's fine. This was a fine issue. It's just the same problems it's had throughout. Okay, and then Newburn by Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips. I like it. It's like we're finally getting more connected plot, like like last time we had that. And so it's like, oh, this really good story is now getting better to me because it's like continuity, and like it just pays off with what I've been reading. So that's great that way. I'm just a real big fan. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I really like this book. I think anyone that likes kind of like the more crimey books would enjoy this.
Nice.
Okay,
right,
man. Now it's just mutual time.
You choose the order, my dude.
Okay. So I'm gonna put these two together. Let's start with Taskforce Z, and then do Devil's Reign Omega, then Deathstroke Inc., and then Robin, because those kind of go hand in hand, And then let's go Godzilla, Mighty Morphin, Power Rangers, Hulk, Action, Saga.
Okay. All right. Taskforce Z number 8. It's written by Matthew Rosenberg, and art is done by Jesus Marino, Jack Herbert, and Vicente Cifuentes. I like this one quite a bit, man. What about you?
I liked it. They I first off hate the cover because it's like, oh yeah, Bane's not even in this one.
Oh yeah, I got the I took the variant, which was way cooler.
Oh, nice. That is good, man. And then I don't like how they made Jason able to outsmart two Robins and Batgirl, and and beat them.
That's fair, but it's Jason's book, so
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter. It's not in continuity.
it's not a continuity. What do you mean? This is a continuity book.
Is it?
Yeah,
Huh.
I'm like 90% sure it is.
Well, when does it take place? Because like Dick
That's
and Barbara,
that's the question. Because Bane's dead in this, but he's alive in Joker.
right? That's why I thought this was out of continuity.
Yeah, no, because I mean Rosenberg talked about it. He's like, you'll see, because he talked about that on Twitter. He's like, you'll see how this all kind of goes together.
Oh, okay. I did like how, I totally get what you mean about him with the other Bat family, but it really cracks me up how they kind of like crap on Tim. Like he's the boring one and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like in this, I don't know. Rosenberg wrote Tim to be such a boob. Like, I remember whenever like Tim was around, like he was the cool Robin, because like Dick as Robin was really lame, and then Jason as Robin was like angsty and terrible, and then like Tim was the cool one, and in this he is just the nerdy lame one.
Yeah. I think Rosenberg did that just to like keep the humor aspect up in
Oh
this.
yeah, my favorite part is when he's talking about how he can beat all of them, and then just Cassandra shows it. She's like, "Hello." It's like,
Yes. Yes, dude. I'm so glad you brought that up. Just like scares the crap out of him. But yeah, I did like to see him try and it goes back to that Three Jokers thing where he's alone with Barbara and
every time,
yeah, I know.
always what I think.
But again, I'm excited for the next one. I think this is just too much fun. I like the little bit of Mr. Bloom that we get in it and how he's just running all these weird experiments and not keeping track of the data.
Yeah. If we go to C2E2, you be Mr. Bloom, I'll be a man bat, but with a regular person head.
Like only Rosenberg would get it if he were
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I'm probably like an 8.5. Like I still really like this, even though a couple things were like questionable.
Yeah, I'm at an 8, so I feel you, man. So next up is Devil's Reign Omega, and we got Fallen Rise by Chip Zdarsky and Rafael de la Torre on the art, and then Mayor for Hire by Rodney Barnes and Guillermo Sana, and then Cleaning House by Jim Zub and Luciano Vecchio. And the first story was the only one that I was like super into. I don't know about you.
Yeah, same.
Like, yeah, so that's when we get the two Daredevils, and it's Matt Murdock's funeral. And yeah, I was very into it, and then it's building up a lot of different stuff for all these different comics, and Kirsten McDuffie's there at the actual burial. And it's weird. I was thinking about this. Kirsten McDuffie first showed up in Mark Waid's Daredevil run, and I liked her in that. I thought she was really cool. She's very different in this Zdarsky run. Still just as cool though, and like it kind of fleshed out more. Like, and so I'm just enjoying that she's still here, because I always really, like I said, always really liked her in Mark Waid's run, and I still really like her now.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know that like writers have to do different things to make their run stand out. So this next upcoming bit, Matt Murdock is dead. So how long do you think that'll last?
Well, okay, so when Kirsten's talking to Mike, and when he's dead, he had the runestone, which the runestone he stole from the Hood, and that is actually because it's really confusing. In Charles Soule's run, there was this guy, he was a inhuman, he was called I think the Seer or something, where he could like read stuff, and then like that stuff could actually come to life. And he somehow read something about, because like Mike just used to be Matt's fake personality, and he read, and then like because he was pretending he had this his twin that could see, and then he read that, and then Mike became a thing. And so then Mike stole the stone and made himself an actual real boy, and like gave himself all this history and stuff. So then when she has that, and then she like was like wishing for a miracle for him to come back, I have a feeling he's going to come back that way.
Okay.
So we'll see how that works.
And then my next question is, do you think this is leading up to a Daredevil's versus Punisher thing for the Hand?
That's what I was thinking. I think there's going to have to be a crossover. I have a feeling like it's weird because the way Jason Aaron's writing Punisher, it's like he's more like, he's not really like a right and wrong type. Like he is kind of, but it's also like he's just a really good killer. So there could very well be like Punisher just teaming up with them because he's like, oh yeah, this, even though there's things that I want, I still have to, like it's still right and wrong. Or it could just be, no, this is what I want, type of thing. But yeah, I think I'm all in on the Daredevil stuff. And like if it just ended here for me, I'd probably give it like a 9.5 out of 10. What do you think though about the Daredevil story, all in all?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I didn't read all of Zdarsky's Daredevil run like you did, so there were some things where I'm just like, I don't really know what's going on, but it's good.
Yeah,
So
that's been like the only downside of Zdarsky's run, is it's not like if you didn't read from issue 1 or whatever it started at, it's like you're kind of screwed, because like everything from like it all kind of connected all back to number 1, which it's like, yeah, I mean, I get that's nice for me, but it's also like you need to kind of make it more accessible for new readers, that want to come in whenever.
well, the thing, I see what you're saying there, but if you're like me and you do just kind of pop in whenever, it's always good. Even
Yeah,
if I don't quite get all of it, I'm still like, man, this is great. I'm excited for the next one.
yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It's just, it's one of those things though where if you are, I don't know, like if you have like the same, like a big part of your thing is from issue 1, you need to kind of like retell what's going on, and that he didn't always do that. So that's like I said, the only real downside of the story
Yeah.
is his stuff. But it's been fantastic. But then next is the clean house, and yeah, you get Luke Cage and Monica Rambeau, and I kind of just skimmed this. Like I like Monica Rambeau and stuff, but it's like, oh boy, it's stuff for the Thunderbolts book I won't read. So I was,
Yeah.
the amount of investment in it I had wasn't very much. And then the other story, it's like Luke Cage being a mayor. I did not care about that at all.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, after having just read that Thunderbolts preview, I was just skimming.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I don't, it's hard for me to just like be overly caring about like like comic book writers trying to write what they think a good politician would be, because it's still like, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's very nice for a fantasy world. I mean, it's like it's always more interesting when it's like them writing like Kingpin as a politician, or like Lex Luthor as a politician, where it's like, oh yeah, these are bad people who might be thinking they're trying to do what's right, but it's like in the worst way possible. Or then otherwise, where it's like the good guy trying to do what's right, and like the everything around him's keeping him from doing it. It's like that's just never as interesting. So I'd much rather have Luke Cage struggle with Kingpin as mayor, other way around than that. But so all in all, I'd probably give that an 8 because I just didn't like the other two backups, but the main story is so good.
I'm at about a 6.
Dang, that really brought you down, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the first 10 pages are great, but after that,
Yeah.
Okay. So next we've got Deathstroke Inc. number 9. And I'm going to show the cover because it's my favorite cover of the week. I got the variant by Derek Chu.
Nice.
And I like Ravager a lot. She's anything I read her in, she's pretty cool for the most part. So, but anyway, this is by Joshua Williamson, and the art is by Paulo Pantalena. Yeah, I mean, much like the rest of Shadow War, I thought this was pretty cool.
I was a little like there's little things about both of these issues that I was a little let down by. Like I thought they made Deathstroke pretty weak, and then also it's like you have the whole shut up kid Respawn, who's like has healing factor. The doctor's like, the healing factor's working against us, which how does that make sense? Because like there was an issue of it was Jeff Loeb's Batman Superman run when Superman got shot with a kryptonite bullet, and he's like healing, like his healing factor was working against them because it was like kept like trying to heal over where the bullet was. So like when Alfred's like going, so like Batman's trying to get him to Alfred to take it out, and he's like trying to make it so that like he would stop, wouldn't be healing over that thing. That made sense. But with this, the doctor's like, his healing factor is just working against us. It's like, how? Explain.
Yeah. But hey, at least we got sexy Grandma Al Ghul back.
Yeah, right. And then I don't know if you picked up on it too, but like the part when like the Deathstroke talked to Batman and Damian, like the non-Deathstroke, I was like, oh, I was wrong. I know who this guy is now.
Right. Yeah. I didn't really have expectations one way or the other, but it still wasn't what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, because I remember that character, and we'll probably spoil it when we get to Robin. That character showed up at the very beginning of all this stuff, and he talked about how he didn't like Ra's al Ghul, and then it's like I know we used to work together, Batman, and then like Damien's like he's got his voice, or he's hiding
an accent.
Yeah, and then he's like, it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, I know exactly who this guy is. I was gonna text you, but then I was like, I'll wait till I read Robin. I read Robin, like, oh, okay, well, I can't feel smart now because then Jake will be like, you just read Robin.
Well, where are you with it?
I'm fine with this. I still don't like the art too much though, but I mean, at least like you said, sexy mama or sexy grandma Al Ghul is in it.
Right.
Probably like a 7.
I mean, I think I liked it more than you, so I'll say 8.
All right, and then Robin, and this is by Joshua Williamson and Roger Cruz, and this is fun. We get like a nice Damian Batman moment, though it's like it really seems like a lot of the stuff Williamson does is like he has to like overcorrect for the stuff Tom King did. So so you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's like one of my main problems with this issue though is we get the much anticipated Deathstroke versus Talia al Ghul fight that we've all been clamoring for, and I just thought that was pretty lame. I've never once in my life thought of Talia al Ghul as being like anywhere close to touching Deathstroke in skill, and so having them be like, oh yeah, they're going at it, like this is such a close fight, and that type of stuff was just dumb to me. I don't know if you read more Talia than me and you're like, actually she could hold her own.
I mean, I assume that she's very skilled, but I don't know that it's anywhere close to the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this is my problem too, though, is like because it's like the last issue where Ghostmaker fights Deathstroke, and I know Ghostmaker is the greatest of all time, but Deathstroke, it's like skill wise, he's like like he should be like right with Batman and Ghostmaker and even Talia. Let's just say Talia's up there too, like but then he's amped. He's got healing factor. He's got increased strength. He uses 90% of his brain, where we only use 10% or whatever. I use 5, you use 10. But it's like all of that stuff, and then in this it's like, no, even though he's as skilled as they're like the skill levels should be around the same, and he's got these amped stuff, these guys can beat him. Why not? So I thought that was just really lame.
And then let's talk about the reveal. So spoilers for the final page. It's Geoforce. Like Geoforce is cool. His powers are strong, but like it's like, man, I feel like they're just gonna write where Batman or even Damian's just gonna kick him in the face, and that'll be the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's probably gonna be where Batman and Robin will have to do a nice team up attack or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Respawn comes back.
Yeah, but what's gonna happen with Slade?
Yeah, I mean, Respawn comes back and ends up killing him or something like that, and then that makes everything right, and they'll be all like, oh well, this has been a fun misunderstanding, sorry we have a bunch of dead people on both our sides, okay, bye.
Maybe Respawn will take over for Deathstroke.
I mean, Deathstroke's got healing factor too, so it's gonna be fine.
What if it's working against him?
Yeah, it's working against him.
See, you can't just I think of stuff that you don't, man.
I want that in like a Wolverine comic now too, where like Wolverine just like gets shot, and they're like, oh no, what? His healing factor, it's working against him.
It's like the equivalent of an early 2000s movie with I'm in, the hacker voice. It's like, what? The mainframe. Okie dokie. Now we've got Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, number 3. It's written by Cullen Bunn with art by Freddie Williams II. And I mean, it's been pretty much as fun as the other issues.
Yeah, like my main gripe with this, and it's just something that I think a normal person won't gripe about, but it's like they show these monsters that Rita's going to be using, with her own monsters, the zillion monsters and her monsters to take over. And it's like, first off, the zillions never had Hedorah or Ibra or Anguirus or Space Godzilla or Rodan. Like, come on, get out of here with that. The zillions only had King Ghidorah. And you also take into consideration Space Godzilla was his own entity. He would never be used by the zillions. Like, what? And Hedorah, that's a monster that he was technically brainwashed in Final War, same with Ebra and Anguirus, but again, Hedra is like, just, he needs to be his own thing, and it's just all about pollution. But again, like, this is also just me griping to gripe. I thought this was a lot of fun.
Well, I am particularly excited for the next issue.
I mean, this is just a hoot and a holler. Though, like, one thing that I would kind of like, and I'm not saying this to knock Freddie Williams, but like, if we could get like if we were able to get like a different artist every time to see other people that are awesome draw these characters, that's like the only thing that I would be like, oh yeah, because I still love Freddie's art too, though. And I'm liking how the Power Rangers are kind of trying to team up with Godzilla, but Godzilla's like, I don't really know if I can trust you guys yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm all about
Hey,
this though.
maybe them powering him up will build that trust.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10. I really, really liked it. The only thing I'm complaining about is like Godzilla nerd crap.
And I'll give it a 9. I don't really have any complaints.
Why not a 10 then?
I don't know. It's just not in the heart, you know?
It's like, when you know, you know.
Exactly.
Okay, so Hulk number 7, and this is Banner War Part 3 by Donny Cates and Martin Coccolo on the art. And I will say, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't the regular artist. I don't remember who is the regular artist now. Is it Ollie?
On Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't, that, but it was awesome still, like art wise and story wise. But I had a few gripes. What'd you think?
I mean, it's on par for the rest of this little crossover. The end, was obviously pretty interesting.
Kind of dumb, if I'm being honest.
Very
but
90s. Very 90s.
Like, the thing that really annoys me though is like this whole celestial Tony Stark armor. Oh, it's so tough, so cool. And Thor, this is gonna kill Hulk. Even though Thor couldn't, this is gonna do it, And then it's like Thor one shots the armor.
Look, I get what you're saying, but anytime Thor does something to destroy something of Tony's, I'm all about it.
I mean, I get that, but I don't know. It was just like, that was a little lame. But I thought, I still think that armor looks awesome. I think the fight scenes look cool. I thought this was just pretty sweet in general.
Thor's intro with his ravens was so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this is a fun, enjoyable time. I will say, I think Donny Cates lied to us comic book fans. And I'll say, because, he promised us Thor versus Hulk, not Thor versus Hulk versus Iron Man.
Versus Banner versus Odin.
Yeah.
So do you think do we have a hulked out Thor or a Thored out Hulk?
Hulked out Thor. Because that gamma bomb just gave him some of that Hulk juice,
Yeah. What would you rate it?
8.5.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too.
Yeah. I think it was a good time. All right. Next up, it's Action Comics 1043. And this is by Matthew Rosenberg with where's the dude's name?
It's Riccardo Federici.
With Riccardo Federici on the art. And boy, oh boy, do I like this. What'd you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Oh, also Will Conrad did like the last page or something, so I'm gonna throw that out too. Yeah, much like every other issue that's come out for this arc, I adore it. It's just he makes us like care about the lore of these other people and planets, because that's the kind of amazing writer that Philip Kennedy Johnson is. And I am a sucker for lore.
I would honestly love, just like, because how they do like these Omega books now, like, we're getting one of those for Shadow War and all that stuff. They did like one for Action Comics where it is just lore building. so
Yeah.
we can get more of that. Because I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I think the story is really great. The art's really great. One thing that I thought was interesting is I guess some people online on Twitter, of course, were because Philip Kennedy Johnson brought it up. They were complaining because they found out that he is a serviceman in our military, and they were complaining like, "Oh, this is him with his, uh, colonization, and the Superman's a colonizer and all this other crap." And it's like Superman's saving people from war world, and then like
He's literally liberating Warworld.
yeah, and then like Philip King Johnson's like, and honestly, I didn't take any of the stuff that I like knowingly. He's like, the only thing that I've really taken is from when I was working to help I was when like the human trafficking stuff, because he's like, there's these women that like they have their it's like the whole chain idea I took from that, because there's these women that have these like imaginary chains that are with their people, and that's like they're so loyal to them even though they're being manipulated and used, and like he broke it all down in Twitter. It's really really good, really really interesting, really cool. And it's also, I'm just like, why are you guys complaining about this at all?
It's truly baffling. I don't have any words other than they're idiots.
Yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, he's doing a lot of great things for Superman though.
yeah, it's like, okay, what do you want to go back to the New 52 era Superman? Like, what do you want? This is Superman.
I do. I'm hoping he stays on Superman after this like War World stuff, and he just lets him like stop some crime in Metropolis. I'm not gonna lie. I hope that
Yeah,
happens.
I do too. And I even enjoyed the sort of Mongol origin we got as the backup story too, which is by Johnson and Will Conrad. Did you like that one?
I did. I didn't like, because I read it, but I'm also like, and maybe you can explain it because maybe you understood it a little bit better. But I thought that was like would have been like the Mongol in this story is like the third Mongol. I thought that was how it was said, because like he took over from the other Mongol, but I didn't see that there.
No, I mean, I think you're correct. I just meant origin for that particular Mongol.
I know. Well, yeah, because I just was under the impression that this Mongol killed what would have been Mongol Junior to take over the role as Mongol.
Right,
And so, I was like, I was expecting to see that, and we didn't see that. So I didn't know if that
right.
was like
I mean,
for
that,
the original Mongol. Maybe this is his origin story type of thing, or what?
right. I mean, we could get what you're referring to in a future issue too.
Yeah.
So yeah, unlike the people of Twitter, I do not have any complaints, so I will be giving this a 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 9.5. The one thing that I didn't like, and you might disagree, was like when it switched to Will Conrad's art, it's very jarring.
Yeah, I mean, the styles are just so different,
Yeah,
but
it's not like it's bad because Conrad is a good artist, but it's just like you're like, whoa, because it just feels like this, it should have ended and then gone to the like the secondary story, and it's still like, oh no, you're continuing the main story with this completely different art.
yeah, I feel you. Okay, and then finally, we've got Saga number 59 by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. We had lots of big stuff happen in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
What are your feelings about the two big things that happened? The first one being Bombazine leaving the crew.
I'm fine with it. We didn't get that guy long enough for me to be like overly upset by it. And then I like that they got the two band people to join up,
Yeah.
and I'm like really interested in seeing where things go with the that dude that is hunting them.
Right.
I'm interested in seeing what's going on there.
I'm
But
going to be very sad if he does end up killing all the people that were in that dossier.
I knew you would be
Specifically
because
Goose.
Yep. He's your favorite character in like what, all of comics?
He's just cute.
He is.
My favorite character was Prince Robot.
Yeah.
So, now he's gonna kill my second favorite.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm all here for this book. I just love this book. Only downside is like, and this is always a sign of a good book, is it didn't feel like it was as beefy of a book as it actually is. Like this read like a silk, from Marvel, where it's like, oh yeah, it is only like 4 pages
Right.
printed on tissue. Where
And then what about the final page reveal?
it's weird. It's a little awkward, but they're not related by blood. It's okay.
Right. Well, I don't think it's reciprocated either.
Yeah,
But,
no, I don't think so.
But yeah, I think I will also be giving that a 10.
Yep, that's a 10 for me.
All right.
What are you excited for, man?
So I'm excited for I'm gonna go with Red Sonja, Red Sitha, because I like the first issue quite a bit. Probably the Action Comics annual, because I think we might get some of that extra info that we were craving in that.
Yeah.
And then probably Hardware, because I think that finishes up season 1 for Hardware.
Nice. I'm gonna say Strange. I'll say Justice League Road to Dark Crisis one shot. Should be pretty good. And then I'll say Batman annual. Not really a big annual fan normally, but we're gonna get some Batman ink in there, so that should be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so last night was AEW's big pay-per-view, and I didn't watch it, but they had CM Punk versus the world champion. I'm blanking on his name now because I'm tired and I've worked all day. But they they built up this champion guy, like he was like, they had this big long year-long thing for him to get the title. He finally got the title, but then CM Punk signed with AEW, and they've just been like, okay, we don't really care about you. Here's CM Punk, here's the title. And they just really dropped the ball on, in my opinion, the guy that they should have been more worried about, because he's their homegrown talent. Instead, they just gave it to the old guy. So give me 4 times where DC or Marvel have just like horribly dropped the ball on stuff.
Also, is the champion Adam Page?
Yeah.
Okay. John talks about wrestling all the time. Anyway, really dropped the ball. Well, DC letting Scott Lobdell write anything is gonna be on the list. Specifically writing Red Hood for 10 years. I feel like this might be somewhat of a hot take for some people, but Marvel doing so many gosh dang number ones and restarting series over. I know a lot of people like the mini series, 5 issues and a trade sort of thing, but I'd rather keep going. And I hope that all these count towards what you're talking about.
I mean, hey man, it's whatever you think.
Gosh, I don't know. Nothing was prepared for this, so
No, I was like, oh crap, I need to write one of these, and so I wrote it while we were doing the news.
I want to say, even though it might be totally undone by Dark Crisis, the death of the Justice League, I think is going to be a big ball drop because people are not going to like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, Marvel taking away Thor and giving it to someone else for like 7 years. There you go. There's my 4.
Right on. I'd say New 52. Would they just drop the ball on that big time? Like, didn't know what the heck they were doing with that, and it just was a mess.
Even though some of it was very good.
No, some of it was, but like most of that stuff that was very good, you didn't need New 52 for.
Yep. Could have just been written in the regular series.
Yeah. And that was one of the big problems with New 52.
Yeah.
And then the whole DC cinematic universe is another one that, because it's like that should be a layup. Because you like people want superhero movies right now. You have the more iconic superheroes, like everyone knows Batman, everyone knows Superman, most people know Wonder Woman at the time. Now everyone knows Wonder Woman. Just build around them. You didn't have the same problems Marvel did, where they're trying to sell you on Iron Man and Captain America and Thor. You don't have, you have the easy stuff, but they're like, we're gonna go with the very artistic director who has his very set way of doing things. And then whenever we decide, oh, we want to do things differently, and then this artistic director goes, no, I want to do it my way, and we're gonna get in a big argument, and then we're gonna get the guy that did stuff for Marvel that did it very well, but then we're still trying to cut corners with the stuff, and he's gonna actually turn out to be a psychopath. It's like, oof, this didn't turn out too well. You guys really dropped the ball on that one for sure. I didn't see it, so this one might not be accurate, but the Eternals movie and Inhumans TV show, it's like no one wanted those. No one at all wanted those ever. Those are two groups that no one cares about, and I don't care how hard you try, we're never going to care about them, Marvel. It's like, just give us X-Men.
Yeah,
that's all we ask. And I'm trying to think of another good ball drop for Marvel. Oh, I'll just say, like, anytime Marvel try, and like this is a hot take too, anytime Marvel's now like, oh, we can't just recast these characters, though we've already recast 2 of them, but oh no, Chris Evans, who did the iconic role of just fucking, oh whoops, of just White Rice, the character Captain America. It's like, man, no one can do that. It's like the only one that made any of those roles iconic was Robert Downey Jr. And by the end of it, it was like him just kind of parodying himself from the first movie. But like Steve Rogers is like throughout he just became blander and blander as it went along. Like at first you're like, oh yeah, this is kind of nice, and then you're like, oh, this is still kind of nice. Like, oh yeah, oh okay.
White Rice, the character. Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. So if you would, please go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give the page a like. Also follow us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And if you would, please go to our YouTube channel. That's 2 Worlds Podcast on YouTube, and subscribe.
Comment down below what we should cosplay as at C2E2.
All right, guys, we'd love to stay in chat, but I gotta hop on Casey's back and fly around somewhere. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.